Buenas tardes, bienvenidos una vez más a Cedar Music Fest 2021. Tenemos con nosotros a Mr. Tom Quayle, the man, the myth, the legend, the Legato Master. Va a estar acompañándonos a nosotros un rato. Ya así me tocó a mí sacar guitarra porque esto es un Masterclass muy importante. Entonces, yo sé que muchos ya conocen a Tom, muchos conocen de la carrera de Tom por todas las cosas que ha hecho, por todo lo que hemos visto en Lick Library y todas las cosas que ha trabajado solo. Entonces no voy a hablar mucho y lo voy a dejar a él que introduzca un poquito más o menos cómo es la cosa y empezamos entonces con el Masterclass. All right, Tom, so yeah, I told him, the man, the myth, the legend, we have Tom Quayle. Just go ahead and do you, man. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your guitar playing, and then we can start.
Cool. Okay. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm a fusion and jazz guitar player, but these days it's kind of airing more into the fusion world. From Leeds in the UK, and I've been playing for over 20 years, well over 20 years now. I started in 1995, and yeah, I was into shred and, you know, all the usual guys, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Dream Theater, and then got into the jazz thing in a big way, and then have kind of found my own thing with legato, which we're going to talk about a little bit today. I'm going to play for you. I'm going to teach you about my approach to improvisation, my approach to fretboard visualization and legato technique. And I have to remember because Rafa has to translate everything I'm saying. I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, all right, let me translate real quick. Okay, so...
Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. Lo que nos dijo Tom es que está muy contento de estar con nosotros, de estar acá, que él es un guitarrista de Leeds, en the UK. Que básicamente es un guitarrista de jazz y de fusión y gravita más hacia el lado de fusión estos días, que empezó siendo guitarrista de shred, que le gustaba Dream Theater, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, y que ahora pues se dedica a la parte de la fusión, que encontró en el legato su técnica para tocar y que nos va a contar un poco de cosas de eso, del legato, de su improvisación y de estas cosas. Entonces, como ya les había dicho y como lo he dicho todas las veces que he estado acá con Dani, ayer con Larry y con James, todo lo que quieran preguntarle a Tom, él va a estar con nosotros un rato, todo lo que necesiten saber, sobre todo de la parte del legato, de la parte de la improvisación, que es lo que Tom maneja, del fourth tuning, de la afinación por cuartas también, que es muy importante, porque es una aproximación muy diferente al estándar de guitarra. El fraseo, pues hay muchas cosas que pueden preguntar, entonces todo va a estar ahí en el muro para que ustedes pregunten y en YouTube también. Yo hasta tuve que traer guitarra porque... All right, so Tom, let's go. Do you
yeah,
start
okay.
talking and...
Okay, cool. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I want to talk about improvisation today, and about fretboard knowledge and technique, obviously what I want to do is start out by doing some improvisation. Okay. When I play, every solo I've ever played in my entire life, bar 2 or 3 that I had to write for very specific scenarios, are all improvised because I come from the jazz tradition. So the jazz tradition is all based around improvisation. So I'm going to start by doing some improvisation, not over something crazy, just over something that allows me to just stretch out a little bit and do some legato, you know, give some of you guys the sound of, you know, the way I play if you've never heard me play before. And then I want to get into some fretboard visualization material, and then we'll go from there, basically. So I'll let Rafa translate that and then I'll just do some playing.
All right. Okay, entonces lo primero que dice Tom es que va a empezar por improvisar. Todo lo que él ha hecho en la vida ha sido basado en la improvisación, y viniendo del mundo del jazz, casi todos los solos que ha hecho en la vida han sido improvisados. Entonces lo que va a hacer en principio es empezar a improvisar, y ahorita nos va a mostrar un poquito acerca de un concepto que tal vez no tenga como traducción, que se llama fretboard visualization. Si alguien en los comentarios me ayuda con la traducción de eso, sería como visualización del diapasón. Entonces vamos a escuchar a Tom improvisar un rato y ya después entonces empezaríamos con la parte del fretboard knowledge. Go ahead.
Awesome. There we go.
All
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Good.
Let me ask the people, because we have a lot of people watching the streaming right now. Muchachos, si nos están escuchando bien o si hay algún problema con el audio, nos pueden colocar ahí en los comentarios. All right, so where do we start?
Okay, so I want to talk about some of the things that are really important when you improvise.
Okay.
And there's kind of three things that we're going to touch on. The first is the fretboard, so visualizing the fretboard.
Okay.
The second is technique.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice when I improvise, I tend to think I have the full range of my technique available to me. So even if I'm playing totally improvised material, I'm still able to use my full kind of legato technique.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I want to talk about as well, how we approach the technique. And then if we get time, because we're sort of time limited tonight, we've got 2 hours, so maybe we'll get time.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the actual concept of time as well.
Okay.
So phrasing and time and
Okay.
how you can develop your time feel. But we see how far we get.
Okay, all right. Entonces, le pregunté pues a Tom por dónde íbamos a empezar. Lo que me dijo es que lo que vamos a hacer básicamente es hablar de improvisación, de técnica, y de que miráramos que pues él puede estar improvisando, pero todavía utiliza toda su técnica, el legato y todas estas cosas en la improvisación, y si nos alcanza el tiempo entonces vamos a mirar timing, sobre todo en la improvisación. Obviamente vamos a hablar de legato porque pues having Tom with us, I mean, talking about legato is important, all right? So yeah, and for us legato players, having Tom here, talking about legato is important.
Well, it's the only technique I'm good at, so I'm not going to talk about anything else.
Me too.
The reason being able to see and hear the fretboard really well when you're improvising, it's really important, because without knowing where harmony is on the guitar, you stand no chance of being able to outline the sound of the chords that you're playing over.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter what style of music you're playing, whether it's blues, funk, classic rock, will outline the sound of the chords that are in that actual song or that chord progression, and that's why they sound strong.
Okay.
So we need to be able to see and hear that stuff on the fretboard to be able to do that.
So basically what she's saying is that you think in terms of harmony, y lo dije ahí muy resumido. Básicamente lo que Tom acaba de decir es que lo que él piensa cuando va a improvisar él no piensa en términos melódicos, sino que piensa en términos armónicos. Es decir, si uno no tiene clara la armonía, sea lo que sea que esté tocando, entonces va a estar divagando en lugares donde no se debe a la hora de improvisar. All right.
There are lots of ways of organizing the fretboard in order that people are taught in terms of visualizing, rely on very large shapes. So if you think about your minor, just something really simple like the minor pentatonic. It's a big
Entonces empezamos con lo primero. Hay de la forma tradicional en que nos enseñan a los guitarristas a tocar es en cajas, en shapes. Entonces el primer shape que mostró Tom es el tradicional. Obviamente él está en cuartas, entonces para él, for you is not this, but this.
That's right, yeah.
Entonces sí, eso es lo primero. Yeah, go ahead.
So whether you're learning the pentatonic scale or let's say the major scale, for example, if I play the major scale, I learned what's called 3-note per string shapes when I was younger, when I first started playing. If you're a beginner guitar player, you might not have learnt those yet, but you might have learnt a basic kind of major scale shape like this. The point is, whichever scale shape we learn as guitar players, we learn these scale shapes across all 6.
All right. Entonces, tuvimos aquí un bachecito pequeño, pero entonces yo les voy a explicar más o menos hasta dónde llegamos. Lo primero es que todo el mundo se aprende pues la escala mayor, o sea, estando en do. Listo. esa escala tiene unas funciones. Si me voy a pasar para re, por ejemplo, las notas son diferentes. Tendríamos que en re, mi, fa sostenido, sol, la, etc. Listo. All right, let's go.
So, as opposed to thinking note names like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, there's a better way on the guitar of thinking about those notes in a generic way, where we think about the numbers. So instead of being C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, we go 1, that is C in this case, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. The cool thing about this is, if I now play D major, the notes, the specific note names have changed, but the numbers stay the same. Right. This is now 1, and we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. It doesn't matter which major scale I play, we always have the numbers 1 scale, but we're numbering the notes or naming the notes by their number, as opposed to their specific note name.
All right. Entonces, aquí lo que pasa es que en vez de usar los nombres de las notas como do, re, mi, fa, sol, lo que Tom dice es que las enumera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Listo. Entonces cuando él se pasa para cualquier otra tonalidad...
Really useful, because if I play through the C major scale or any major scale, let's do C, and I go up to the note G, okay, so I count through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anywhere that I play the note G in this particular scale, so if I play the G below C, so here's my C here, if I play this G below, this is still 5 in the major scale. It's thinking about the interval distance, I'm thinking about the number or the function of the note in the key. So this is 1 to 5, ascending. It's the 5th note in the scale. This is 1 to 5, descending. 1, 5. Okay, this would be 1 to 3, or 1 down to 3. 1 to 7, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, 1, up to the octave, 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, entonces lo que pasa acá es que voy a afinar antes de cualquier cosa. Yeah, I'm out of tune, I'm completely out of tune. Okay, entonces lo que pasa acá es que como esas notas en vez de tener nombre, do, re, mi, ahora tienen un número, entonces en cualquier lugar del diapasón del trastero donde usted las toque, ellas van a seguir teniendo un número. Es decir, si yo voy a tocar 1, 2, 3, 4, este número 5, que sería sol, lo voy a tocar aquí arriba, sigue siendo 5. Listo, entonces sería 5 debajo, y lo puedo hacer 5 arriba también, por ejemplo, o puedo ir a esta nota que sería un 7, o sería ir a la octava. Es más o menos hasta ahí el concepto.
Cool. Okay. So once you understand the numbers in the major scale, you can figure out any other scale in existence by how it differs from the major scale.
Okay.
So we could take, say, a Dorian scale, and we can call the Dorian scale 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. So again, it's got a series of numbers, but the third in that scale, in comparison to the major scale, is flattened. And what that means is we take it back 1 fret on the guitar. So when we flatten a note, we take it back a fret.
Okay.
If we sharpened a note, we raise it by 1 fret, which means moving towards the body of the guitar.
Okay.
So if, for instance, I had what's called a Lydian scale, that has a 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So you would raise, in relation to the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4. You would sharpen that note, or move it up by 1 fret, so we get this note, 5, 6, 7, 1. I'll just play it one more time.
Ok, entonces acá lo que viene es lo siguiente. Cuando entonces vamos a hacer otras escalas, la relación de los números no cambia, sino que lo que cambia es, digamos, pongámoslo así como la nota característica de esa otra escala. Si vamos a ir a un modo dórico, por ejemplo, en vez de decir que vamos a hacer 1, 2, 3, haríamos 1, 2, flat 3, o sea, tercera bemol. Lo mismo, si lo vamos a hacer en un modo mixolidio, haríamos 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ¿Listo? Donde la cuarta sería la aumentada. Entonces, si aumentamos, lo hacemos hacia adelante. Si lo hacemos bemol, lo hacemos hacia atrás. Más o menos es eso lo que acaba de explicar Tom.
Okay, so the series of numbers that make up the scale is called the formula of the scale.
Okay.
And the individual numbers are called intervallic, or I call them intervallic functions.
Okay.
So the formula of the Dorian scale is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. You can do whichever scale you like, whatever, you know, it's whichever one you feel comfortable with.
All right.
But when I play the scale, this is, if I'm in C Dorian, this is the intervallic function of 1. This is the intervallic function of 2. The intervallic function of flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. And I can find those all over the guitar, and I'm going to teach you in a minute how to do that.
Okay.
So I can find, if I'm in C Dorian, 1, 5, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 5, 4, flat 3, 1, 4, so on and so forth.
Okay. Entonces, básicamente la serie de números se llama fórmula. Y lo que yo había dicho ahorita, nota característica, Tom le dice la intervallic function, right?
Absolutely, intervallic function.
O sea, la función interválica, que sería entonces esa nota, por ejemplo, en el modo dórico sería esta tercera bemol. Lo que vamos a hacer ahora es que él nos va a explicar cómo encontrar esas notas, no solamente aquí en este primer cuadrante, sino en todo el diapasón.
Okay, so let's take something everybody who's watching, I hope, maybe not, but probably is familiar with. The minor pentatonic, right?
All right.
Every guitar player, when they first start improvising, learns this scale, the A minor pentatonic. And you learn it as a box, right? Yeah. And then you learn the other boxes that go with that scale, okay? I'll let you talk about that.
Vamos entonces a empezar por la escala pentatónica. O sea, todo el mundo se sabe la escala pentatónica, eso es lo primero que le enseñan a todo el mundo. Y si usted se aprende la primera caja y se aprende todas las otras cajas.
Okay, so the formula, remember every scale has a formula, and it describes how the scale is different from the major scale, which notes are different.
Okay.
The minor pentatonic has 5 notes in it, and its formula is 1. I guess I should do it this way so it makes sense. 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7. So 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7.
Right.
That's the formula of that scale.
Okay.
So it contains the intervallic functions of 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7, and those intervallic functions make up the formula of that scale.
Okay. Entonces las funciones interválicas de la escala pentatónica en este caso serían 1, 2, tercero bemol, cuarto, 1, 2, tercero bemol, 5 en flat 7, quinto y séptimo bemol. Listo. Repetido sería 1, tercero bemol, 5, 1, I forgot, 1, flat 3.
So 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7.
Y flat 7, ok. 1, tercero bemol, cuarto, quinto y flat 7.
Awesome.
Séptimo bemol.
Okay. Music is much easier to deal with when we think about very small pieces of information.
Okay.
Not large. That's too big.
Yeah.
It's too much to think about.
Okay.
So let's take one of those intervallic functions. Let's take one, well, we'll take 2 of them, 1 and flat 3. Just that those two individual intervallic functions, only those two, and let's have a look at how they look on the guitar.
Ok, si la música es más fácil si la interpretamos desde pequeños trozos. Entonces lo que vamos a hacer es tomar dos funciones interválicas de esa escala pentatónica, el 1 y el 3 bemol. ¿Listo?
Okay, you just demonstrated it perfectly, because if you take this A here, the root note A, we're in A minor pentatonic, so A is our root note, or 1.
Okay.
So long as you know where A is, you don't have to think about that anymore. But the flat 3, if we look at the shape it makes in relation on the same string, ascending, we get this shape. So if I just zoom in, 1 to flat 3.
Gotcha.
Okay? You could call it minor third if you want, but I'd rather we call it flat 3. If it's possible to translate it that way, but if it needs to be minor third, that's fine. But that's 1 to flat 3.
You can translate it as flat 3. Ok, entonces estamos hablando entonces de las funciones interválicas. La primera sería entonces tomar 1 y tercero bemol, flat 3. Y si miramos la forma, pues ahí fue donde quedamos, en 1 y flat 3. ¿Listo?
Okay, so we're in, oh sorry.
No, go ahead.
We're in A minor pentatonic, right? Anywhere I put my first finger on an A, anywhere on the guitar, this same shape applies.
Okay.
It just works,
Okay.
because it's 1 to flat 3, right?
Yeah.
So we get 1, flat 3, 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 1. Oh, sorry. Helps if you know where A is here. 1, flat 3, 1, flat 3. You get the idea. So this little piece of information, this tiny thing, this shape, allows you to find 1 and flat 3 all in every position on the guitar without thinking about big shapes.
Ok. Entonces aquí viene una cosa muy interesante que ya sería entonces empezar a mover esta posición, que la vieron bien en la mano de Tom. Esta posición nos va a dar 1 y 3 bemol por todo el diapasón. Entonces nos da acá, nos da acá, acá, acá y acá, acá también. Porque es la misma posición, es los deditos del rock and roll. ¿Sí?
Yeah.
Entonces nos da por todo el diapasón 1 y flat 3.
Okay, now if I just zoom in again, another way we could play 1 to flat 3 would be if we do it on adjacent strings. So here is 1. Now remember we had 1 to flat 3. We can do this too. This is also 1 to flat 3, but now on adjacent strings, on the next string up. And I've got my third finger on the root note and my first finger on the 3, the flat 3. Okay, so now again the same thing. 1, flat 3, 1, flat 3, 1. Now you have to adjust it for standard tuning.
Yeah.
So you have to go up a fret with the flat 3. This is why I tune in fourths, because you don't have to do this.
Fourths. Yeah, I got you.
That's the magic of the fourths. But you can totally do this in standard tuning. You just have to compensate the shape. So again, 1, flat 3, 1, flat 3 would be the open string for me, but it would be there.
For me.
1, flat 3.
Okay.
So now we've got two shapes for the same intervallic function.
Ok. Entonces, aquí empieza como la magia del asunto. Ya entramos en el asunto de la afinación por cuartas, y Tom acaba de decir por qué utiliza la afinación por cuartas. Y es porque nosotros habíamos visto esta posición. Esto sería lo mismo, pero en cuerdas adyacentes, dejando este huequito en la mitad. Si nosotros buscamos esta raíz en cualquier parte del diapasón, nos da. Ojo, si lo hacemos aquí, eso es la razón por la que él afina en cuartas. ¿Por qué? Porque aquí, ya para él sería la misma, para nosotros es... ¿Ya? Entonces sería eso, hacerlo en cuerdas adyacentes, sería el segundo asunto.
Okay, here's where this is super super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That 1 and flat 3, we're talking about the minor pentatonic scale, right? We've just done the first 2 intervallic functions, 1 and flat 3.
Yeah.
That shape can be used in the minor pentatonic. You don't have to remember all these, by the way, but the minor pentatonic, the Dorian scale, the Phrygian, the Aeolian, Locrian, melodic minor, harmonic minor. It can be used in various modes of all of those, of the melodic minor and harmonic minor. It's a minor 7 chord, it's a minor triad, it's a diminished chord. You get the idea. It's in all of those things, but we've learnt it in isolation.
Yeah.
So we can use this tiny piece of information, 1 and flat 3, for all of those different things.
It works for everything, basically.
It works for everything that contains those 2 intervallic functions.
Ok. Bueno, entonces la magia de esto y lo útil de esto es que sirve para mucha cosa. O sea, no es que esté aislado, sino que si hacemos un análisis en profundidad, estas 2 notas nos funcionan no solamente como pentatónica, sino que nos podemos hacer dórico, modo dórico, modo frigio, menor melódico, menor armónico. O sea, son muchas posibilidades con solamente estas 2 notas.
Okay, so if we go back to our minor pentatonic scale, now what we've done is we've learned within 1 octave. I never think about more than 1 octave at a time. Okay, I'll explain why in a minute. Okay. We've learned an ascending version of a flat 3 intervallic function. Yeah. If we take this A at the 7th fret of the D string, we can now go down from 1 to flat 3. If this is 1 to flat 3, we just take a different 1 above, an octave above, and we go 1 down to flat 3. And that's another shape within an octave. We're now descending. We've got 1 to flat 3. Or we could do this, 1 to flat 3, descending. So if you think about just the shapes that we played before, that's it, yep. Let me zoom in so you can see a bit better. So 1, A, down to flat 3. I'm not worrying about what note this is, what note name it is, I'm just looking at the shape it makes and learning that shape. 1, if I want to find flat 3 descending, I drop down to here. That's a flat 3 intervallic function from 1. Or I could do it this way. That's it, that's 1 to flat 3 descending.
Okay.
And then of course you can move that around. It's the same shape everywhere I play it, but adjusted for standard tuning.
Okay, yeah, it's a little different for standard tuning, but entonces, ya que lo hicimos hacia ascendente, se puede hacer descendente. Entonces, empezaríamos con esta nota, con el La, en el traste número 7 de la 4ª cuerda, y buscamos entonces la nota siguiente aquí arriba, descendente. Y ese sería una forma, listo. Y la otra sería tomarlo acá, y la otra nota acá. Y empezar a mover esto por todo el diapasón, no importa en el La en que estemos. ¿Listo?
Okay, so what you do now is you spend quite a lot of time mapping out where all of those 1 and flat 3s are. So you find all of the A's on the fretboard, and then you find ascending and descending through 1 octave where all those flat 3s are. So if I take this A, I would have 1, flat 3, 1, flat 3, 1, down to flat 3, 1, down to flat 3. I would then do it from a different A, 1, flat 3, 1, flat 3, 1, flat 3, down, 1, flat 3. And you would do that all over the fretboard for all of the, if you're in A minor pentatonic or A Dorian or A Phrygian, whatever, anything that uses the flat 3 intervallic function, you would map those out all over the fretboard.
Okay.
And of course they're the same anywhere on the guitar, no matter what key you're in, because it's just the generic shape, 1 to flat 3.
Okay. Bueno, entonces como esta es una forma genérica, la forma genérica eléctrica de 1 a flat 3 aquí o a tercera bemol. Aquí lo que haríamos sería entonces como tarea ya, that's a homework for everybody. Ahí lo que tendríamos que hacer sería empezar a mapear esos intervalos por todo el diapasón, sea que estemos en standard tuning o en fourths. Ya depende de la afinación que ustedes utilicen, pero entonces ya sería empezar a mapearlo y sería una forma estándar, porque es que eso sirve para mucha cosa, como ya lo habíamos visto.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to improvise over a backing track. It's actually in G minor. I picked A minor because everyone knows it, but it's in G minor, but it's the same thing. And I'm only going to play ones and flat threes.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to be using this shape. I'll zoom in as well while I do this. So this shape, 1 to flat 3, now from G of course, but it's the same shape. Okay. 1 to flat 3, and then 1 to flat 3 descending, and 1 to flat 3 descending. Okay. And this is not meant to be an amazing solo. It's meant to be me practicing making music with this single intervallic function, the flat 3, in relation to the 1. I'm trying to find them on the fretboard and visualize them and make it sound like music.
All right. Tom, let me ask you a question real quick. When you study these things, when you practice these things, I mean, you do it almost all the time with a backing track or with a beat or something?
No, so initially what I would do is I would do it really, really slowly out of time and just allow, what you don't want to do is you want to go at the speed your brain can find them at, not the speed that your fingers want to go at. Okay. Because what you'll do is you'll find yourself going back into this minor pentatonic box and not thinking about which intervallic functions you're playing. Okay. You need to do this super slowly. So if I was going to practice this, I might go, okay, 1, flat 3. It's not meant to be really musical yet. 1, flat 3. And then go for the next 1. And it might take me 30 seconds to find this next flat 3. But if it does, the next time I do it, it'll be quicker. And then it'll get quicker and quicker and quicker until it's just like saying your own name. It's just the easiest thing in the world.
All right. Okay. Let's translate that. Tom va a improvisar un rato con esta forma de 1 y 3 bemol o 3 rebajado flat 3. Pero yo sí le pregunté que si él lo hacía con uno, que si cuando él estudiaba, no en este caso, sino cuando él estudiaba esto lo hacía con un backing track o con alguna cosa, y me dice que no, que lo primero que hacía era sentarse y ubicar el flat 3, que así se demorara media hora, 1 hora buscando todos, pero la idea era hacerlo a la velocidad a la que el cerebro le permitiera, porque si no se iba a encontrar otra vez haciendo. Listo, entonces Tom lo que va a hacer ahí es empezar a improvisar sobre un backing track con 1 y flat 3.
So you get the idea. It's not like you're going to run out of ideas fairly quickly. But the thing is, rather than playing this minor pentatonic box where you're just playing like without thinking, you're really, in this instance, you're targeting each of those notes. You're targeting the 1, and the flat 3,
Okay.
and being very specific about which notes you're playing.
Okay.
You're not playing off a big shape.
Mm-hmm.
You're just playing those specific intervallic functions and choosing to play them.
But you're out of the box immediately. I mean, you're out of the box.
I'm all over the fretboard.
You're all over the fretboard. Okay. Entonces, lo que dice Tom es que tal vez cuando usted está estudiando esto de esta manera, se le acaben las ideas muy rápido y es natural porque pues solamente está haciendo 2 notas, pero vas a estar inmediatamente fuera de la caja. Y yo creo que esto es una pregunta que le hacen a uno muchas personas. Venga, es que yo nada más me sé esto y hago esto todo el tiempo para arriba y para abajo, y esto es una forma de salirse de ahí con solamente pensar 2 notas, un flat 3.
Now, if you do the same thing now, because I said there was a 1, a flat 3, a 4, a 5, and a flat 7.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the same thing for these remaining intervallic functions now, so you learn what the 4 looks like,
Mm-hmm.
you learn what the 5 looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and you learn what the flat 7 looks like. Like, I'm not going to go through and show you all of them right now because we'll be here forever.
That's homework.
But imagine you'd done that, and you'd done that homework, and learned what they all look like within 1 octave,
Mm-hmm.
ascending and descending from the root note.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can see that scale everywhere, all over the guitar, without thinking about boxes at all. And I'll try and demonstrate that in a second.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But let me ask you a question first. So everything is in relationship to the root, right?
Everything. When I improvise,
Okay.
it doesn't matter what I'm playing over. Even if it's the most complex jazz harmony,
Yeah.
I visualize everything in relation to the root note of the chord that I'm on
Okay.
at the time.
Okay. So the flat 7 on relationship related to the
Yeah.
root. Okay. Entonces, ya lo que sigue para ustedes como tarea, pues, y para el trabajo que uno vaya a hacer en la casa, entonces, es empezar a pensar estos intervalos de a uno, con la pentatónica, como lo hicimos: 1, flat 3, 4, 5 y flat 7 o séptima bemol. Todo con relación a la raíz, a la tónica. Entonces sería, pues, poniendo un ejemplo, esto sería la quinta, o esto sería flat 7, y ya esto habría que moverlo por todo el diapasón.
Yeah, so I can see, like, my backing track is in G minor,
Yeah.
so I can find a G,
Uh-huh.
and I can see, because I've learned what these intervallic functions look like on the guitar, I can see the flat 3, I can see the 4, the flat 7, all in relation to the root note visually, the 1. Now from this G, I can see the flat 3, the 4, the 5, the flat 7. Then there's another G here. I just zoom in. So let's go for this G. I can see the flat 3, the 4, the 5. I can see the flat 7, the flat 3 above, the 4, the 5, the flat 7, and then the 1. Flat 3, 4. And I'm always, when I improvise, I'm thinking about these numbers. How do the notes I'm playing relate back to the root note of the chord or the scale that I'm playing over? And I can see what they look like in relation to the root notes, because I've learned what those intervallic functions look like within 1 octave above or below
Okay.
the root note visually.
Okay. So you're gonna demonstrate that with a backing track?
Yeah.
All right. By the way, I have a question here. It's not actually. Yeah, that's a question. Someone asked if you can tell us where do you get the backing tracks from. I know those backing tracks are yours, right?
Some of them are mine. The first one I played was mine. The second one is a Jam Track Central backing track.
Okay.
I'm going to play over some more of mine shortly. And then there's a really great a YouTube channel called Jammin' Backing Tracks.
Yeah, it's super good. I've tried it.
Yeah, I'll play over one of those in it shortly and demonstrate some more of this as well, because that's a super cool backing track.
Okay.
And I want to give that guy some props because he's so good with these backing tracks.
Right.
So I'm gonna demonstrate. I'm just gonna play fairly freely over this G minor backing track.
Okay.
But I'm always, when I'm improvising, I'm thinking about the visual relationship of all of these intervallic functions as I'm playing. So I'm not thinking about big shapes, these big scale shapes.
Okay.
I'm thinking about these small relationships between the root notes and the other intervallic functions in the scale.
All right. Okay, let me get the big translation for all of these things we talked. All right, la pregunta de los backing tracks, está trabajando con unos de Jam Track Central. Él también tiene backing tracks, pero le vamos a dar crédito de una vez a un man de YouTube que se llama Jammin'. Backing tracks muy, muy, muy buenos. Sí, because I've tried them before and I know they're good.
They're awesome.
Sí, lo que va a hacer entonces Tom ahora es improvisar con todo esto que nos acaba de explicar, pero no pensando en estas formas grandes, en estas sino pensando de la forma que nos acaba de explicar, con esta relación interválica entre la raíz y las otras notas de la escala pentatónica.
Okay, so I'm just going to improvise.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, even the fast lines that I'm playing, they've been thought about in terms of how the visual relationship is between the notes that I'm playing and the root note. And I'm never thinking about these really large shapes because I want to be freer when I improvise.
Okay.
I want to be able to, if I want to play the 9, I want to know where it is. If I want to play the flat 3, I want to know where it is. I always want to know which note, how it relates to the chord or scale I'm playing over.
All right, you know what? I was just talking to David here. The way I see intervals is different. So I tried it with the mic off just to see if I could. I can't. I mean, I have to study a lot just to get the relationship between the notes. But it gives you more fluidity in what you do. It sounds fluid and organic. I like it. That's cool.
Yeah, and you can use the same information multiple times. So we think about Dorian as being a different shape, the scale, to Aeolian. Like we learn it as a different shape.
Yeah.
We learn melodic minor as a different shape.
Yeah.
We learn harmonic minor as a different shape. But they contain loads of the same information. Like I was saying, the Dorian scale contains a 1, 2, flat 3, 4, and 5. right? So does the Aeolian scale. So does the harmonic minor scale. You know, all of these scales, they contain the same pieces of, like the same building blocks. Information. So you might as well, rather than thinking of all of these things as different shapes, you can use the same information over and over again and make the whole process really efficient.
Okay. All right, let me translate. Yo le decía a Tom que yo estuve intentando aquí con el micrófono apagado cuando él estaba improvisando, pues yo no soy capaz de pensar como él lo piensa, pero lo que noté yo es que eso le regala a uno mucha fluidez, pensar como él lo hace y pensar el diapasón de esta manera. Entonces, lo que me dice él es que todo esto se puede aplicar a mucha otra cosa, o sea, no solamente pentatónica, sino que toda esta relación entre los acordes está en un montón de escalas, menor melódica, disminuidos, menor armónica. Entonces no es tan difícil, porque yo sé que muchos de pronto han tenido esa pelea con por ejemplo, con la menor melódica. Yo que I struggled with Melodic Minor back in the day. That was hard for me to learn. I didn't know this thing. Me too. Yeah, that was hard. And entonces,
because I tried to learn it as 3-note per string, and it's a nightmare.
No, that's impossible.
It's really hard to learn Melodic Minor as 3-note per string.
It's impossible. Yeah, go ahead.
I got good at Melodic Minor using this system.
Yeah.
Learning these intervallic functions, the shape of them, and then so when I play Melodic Minor, I can see if I'm in G Melodic Minor, I can see 1, 7, 4, 6, 5, flat 3, 2, 4, flat 3.
Yeah.
So when I have to play a line, I can see all those intervallic functions all over the fretboard. Just, they're just there.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm not thinking about a big shape.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I mean, I stole a lick from Nick Johnson, and that lick got me in a Melodic Minor, thinking it the way he wears. So, yeah. But let me translate real quick. Entonces, lo que yo le decía a Tom es que yo peleé mucho con la escala menor melódica, por ejemplo, porque hacer 3 notas por cuerdas pues un enredo y uno se pierde, y él me dice lo mismo, o sea, es muy complicado, pero la forma de esta manera de pensar, tal vez la escala sea más digerible y sea más digerible para usted pensar escalas como esta, como la menor armónica y esas cosas, tomando esto como raíz, como base de lo que usted está tocando. We have a long question. Let me translate it for you real quick. All right. So you said you're going to talk a little bit about rhythmic improvisation at the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we have a question here from someone that's asking, do you know any Colombian rhythms?
No, not specific. I know some South American rhythms generally, but I think they're probably Brazilian rhythms rather than Colombian rhythms.
All right, now
so like partito alto, that kind of thing.
That's Brazilian. All right.
And clave, but not specifically Colombian ones, no.
Okay. And he asked, hold on, it's a long question. So he says you go from straight 8 to triplets to give to get more rhythm sound, to get more rhythm into your playing. But playing these kind of Latin rhythms, Colombian rhythms, the phrasing has to change. So basically what he wants to ask is if you can tell us about rhythmic possibilities that you might consider interesting to share, and if it finally and he has another question, can you jam over a Latin groove? He said Lando Peruano, but I don't even know Lando Peruano. but it's a 6/8. It's a 6/8.
I don't have any Latin grooves here. I do have a 6/8 backing track, but it's a kind of rock 6/8 vibe.
Rock.
Yeah, so it's not. I mean, I can play over it for sure, but I can certainly talk about some interesting rhythmic things you can do.
Yeah.
When you're improvising, I'm a big fan of Wayne Krantz.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne is.
We know Wayne
killer.
Krantz. Me too.
So one thing that Wayne Krantz does is he plays odd time, so maybe a bar of 5/8 or 5/16, or 3/8 or 3/16 over 4/4. Okay, and what it does, I'll try and demonstrate one of these. It forces you to improvise over the bar line.
Okay.
Because what a lot of guitar players and musicians do when they learn to improvise is they improvise in very set square amounts of time.
Yeah.
So like they'll improvise for a bar and they'll always start on beat 1 and they'll finish on beat 1 of the next bar.
Okay.
Or they'll always start on beat 2 and finish on beat 2, for example. Or they'll always phrase in 4-bar chunks, but it's not particularly interesting. They're not starting on interesting parts of the bar.
Yeah.
So one thing you can do is you can take a very simple thing like, let's say, just a very simple phrase like let me demonstrate this phrase over this G minor backing track.
But hold on just 1 second. Let me translate the whole thing for.
Oh yeah,
for
sorry.
People. Yeah. Ve, lo que dice Tom es que no tiene esta es una respuesta para una pregunta que nos hicieron ahí en el muro que hizo Andrés. Tom dice que no conoce ritmos colombianos como tal, pero que sí nos va a dar una forma de trabajar la parte rítmica, sobre todo cuando son odd timings, cuando no estamos en formas cuadradas, sino que nos vamos a salir de ese cuadro. Eso es lo que va a hacer en este momento, nos va a demostrar más o menos en la parte rítmica cómo va a funcionar ese asunto sobre odd timings. Go ahead.
So I'm going to take this backing track, the tempo is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
I'm going to take a rhythm that's in 5/16. So 5/16 notes long.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the rhythm is going to be da 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 da.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that rhythm is it displaces itself. It doesn't start. It's not da 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 da, where it always starts on the beat.
Yeah.
It starts 1/16 note back each time. So ba ba da 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 ba da da. It's a very simple rhythm.
Yeah.
But surprisingly difficult to improvise well with.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll maybe.
Yeah. Let me tell him. Yeah, let me tell him. All right. Lo que va a hacer Tom en este momento es que va a tomar el backing track está en 4. O sea, va a contar 1, 2, 3, 4. Pero lo que va a hacer él es que va a hacer grupos de 5/16 que van a quedar sonando. O sea, sería como estar desplazando una semicorchea y estos grupos no empiezan en el pulso como tal, sino que se desplaza una semicorchea y entonces 1, 2, 3, paparam, 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 paparam. No es square, sino que se desplaza una semicorchea. Eso es lo que va a hacer en este momento.
Okay, cool. So there's a ton of different, like if you just write out 5/16 notes on the page, and then cross like one of them out at a time, you can get tons of different rhythms, and then start crossing two of them out. So that one, da da da, we've got a 16th note, then a 16th note rest, then two 16th notes, and then a 16th note rest. So ba ba da ba ba da. But you could have da 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 da. Sorry, da 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 da. That's hard to do.
That one's hard.
That's three 16th notes and then two, and then an 8th note or two 16th note rests. So you can group, you can take that cell of 5 16th notes and come up with tons of different rhythms that cross over the bar line like that. And again, if you want to hear somebody who is the utter master of this, Wayne Krantz is the guy to go for.
Wayne Krantz. Hay una, o sea, la respuesta de Andrés es, de hecho, la pregunta de Andrés fue una pregunta muy buena, porque los ritmos latinoamericanos y los ritmos colombianos son unos ritmos que manejan el asunto de la síncopa de una manera muy fuerte. Entonces, lo que hizo Tom fue explicar más o menos cómo hacer odd groupings que no van sobre el pulso. Y lo que acaba de decir es que no solamente lo que hizo ahí es una forma de estudiarlo, sino que usted puede tomar, por ejemplo, esas semicorcheas y tachar una, hacer la segunda, o tomar 16 semicorcheas y no hacer la segunda o la quinta, y le van a dar unas agrupaciones de notas muy interesantes rítmicamente. Es más o menos lo que dice Tom, y pues que si quieren escuchar un guitarrista que haga eso, Wayne Krantz is the guy. All right.
Cool. Shall I play another song maybe?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, shall I play something, and then like I can talk about legato, or if anybody's got any questions.
Yeah. I think everybody's gonna ask about legato.
Cool. By the way, I should say really quickly, because I know you mentioned it, Rafa.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to work on this intervallic function stuff, I have an app.
Yes,
that
sir.
I made.
Solo.
Hang on. Yeah. So this app enables you to work on intervallic functions. So this is available on Android and iOS devices, and it gives you a bunch of, like, let's say for scales, if you want to work on harmonic minor, for example, it gives you, oh, why is it not? Oh, I know why, because I haven't calibrated it. It gives you the scale and then all the intervallic functions and asks you to find them and work on them. So it's quite a cool little app that you can check out if you want to. Okay, I'm going to play a jazz standard called Inner Urge, but I'm going to make it's a really crazy fusion version, not a jazz version. So,
all right, go ahead.
Guys, enjoy this. There's a lot of changes in this.
absolutely insane. Who plays bass and drums in that?
So that is from an album that we released a few years ago now called The Elba Triangle. The bass player is Anton Davidians.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy Russian bass player.
Yeah.
And the drummer is, I always forget his name. I think he's called Vala Vengren.
Yeah. Where is he
I think
from?
that's his name. He's Scandinavian, I think.
Yeah.
I struggle to remember. It's a while since we did the album, so I've forgotten exactly where he's from. But
How
it's
do I
ridiculous
Let
playing.
me find it on Spotify real quick because I want to go home listening to that. How do I find it?
If you search for the Elba Triangle, so ELBA, and then Triangle, it's on Spotify.
The Elba Triangle. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
And I'm following. That's incredible.
Crazy fusion stuff.
Yeah, that's incredible. Incredible. I mean,
it's really hard to play.
And you're saying that's hard to play. If I try to play that, I'm gonna die probably. Started like 2 years just to get one phrase. Incredible. All right.
A weird mind. You know when you get a mind fog and you're like, okay, how does that melody go again? Like nobody's playing anything live anymore, so it's like, how does this? But anyway, it's all good. So, I guess like the defining thing about whenever I play anything, whenever I improvise, the defining thing is the legato technique. So probably we should talk about that.
All right. Let me talk about the Elba Triangle first.
Sure.
El tema que tocó Tom es de un álbum que se llama The Elba, de una banda que se llama The Elba Triangle. Si la quieren buscar, se escribe Elba, ELBA, Triangle. Yo ya la encontré en Spotify y les voy a mostrar. Vela acá.
Cool. Thank you.
The Elba Triangle.
Yeah.
Muy buena. Yo me voy a ir escuchando eso para la casa. Bueno, entonces vamos a entrar, yo creo que a lo que todo el mundo diría, a lo que todo el mundo, por lo que todo el mundo conoce a Tom, y es legato. Pues la técnica de legato de Tom es, ¿cómo se dice? ¿Cómo lo pondría yo? No sé, es increíble. So let's talk about legato.
I should say, like, the reason I'm using this, it's like I was saying to you before, it's like 40 degrees in here.
Yeah.
It's just insanely hot. So excuse me for white, because like, it's crazy, so hot. Let me just briefly explain for anybody who doesn't know what legato technique is. When you play the guitar, if I just zoom in again, generally when you play, every note that you play is attacked or articulated with the pick and fretted by the left hand, or if you're the other way around if you're left-handed. So when you play the guitar, generally you are playing down or up strokes with the pick and articulating with the left hand as well. So when you do that, you get a very strong attack to the note, the front of the note. You get the sound of the pick, or finger, of course, on the right hand, attacking the note. So you get what's called a transient at the beginning of the note. It's not a smooth sound at all. With legato, you pick the first note of each string, and then all the other notes are exclusively played with the left hand using what's called hammer-ons and pull-offs. So when I play the first note with the pick, after that, everything is played with the left hand using hammer-ons and pull-offs with the left hand. That's what legato technique is, and it sounds much smoother because you don't have so much attack on the note.
All right, let me translate. Okay, entonces lo primero que vamos a hacer antes de empezar a hablar de legato es decir qué es legato. Entonces legato, o sea, todo el mundo lo que toca en notas en guitarra sería atacando todas las cuerdas, atacando todas las notas. Lo que Tom acaba de hacer y acaba de explicar es que el legato se hace con hammer-ons and pull-offs. En español eso sería con ligados. Entonces obtiene uno un sonido más smooth, más suave en el paso de nota a nota. más o menos eso fue lo que explicó Tom ahí en lo que tocó.
So if you compare these two ways of playing, if I was to play all picked, the second one sounds smoother, it's got less attack. And I really like that sound. I prefer the sound of legato. Plus, my picking sucks really, really badly. It's really bad. So.
All right. Entonces, lo que dice Tom ahí es que si notan la diferencia en lo que él tocó, el legato suena más suavecito el paso entre las notas que todo con la pajuela. Y fuera de eso, el pajueleo de él, el picking de él simplemente no funciona. Sucks como el mío. Yeah, mine sucks too. All right.
Yeah. So some legato players you might have heard of who are known for their legato. Joe Satriani is a really famous legato player. And when I think about legato playing, there's kind of two different types of legato player. There's kind of like your rock legato, like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai,
Richie Carton,
John Petrucci, you know, any of those guys. They're on one side, and I'm going to try and explain what they do. It's not what I do. And then on the other side, there's your jazz fusion guys like Greg Howe, Alan Holdsworth,
Brett
Garsed, yeah, who have a very different, the technique is the same, but the style is very different, and I'm going to try and explain the difference in a second.
Different approach. Ok, entonces hay dos tipos de guitarristas que utilizan legato como una técnica pues muy común. Por un lado está Joe Satriani. Todo el mundo sabe que Joe Satriani es pues el maestro del legato en la parte del rock. Guitarristas como Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, John Petrucci, ellos utilizan el legato de una manera distinta a hablar de Alan Holdsworth, Brett Garsed, o sea, guitarristas que los dos están en dos espectros distintos del legato. Y eso es lo que Tom va a explicar en este momento, cuál es el que él utiliza.
So, if you think about the rock kind of Joe Satriani legato, did you ever learn Flying in a Blue Dream?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Flying in a Blue Dream, I'm not going to play it, but Flying in a Blue Dream has the real classic Joe Satriani legato in it. And it's like, it's not in time.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. It's amazing, but it's not specifically in time. It's like this. It's like.
Yeah, I'm talking about it.
It's all over the place. When you see it written out, it's really weird groupings of notes. It goes over the bar line. It's not like dega 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 da. It's like blah 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 blah. You know, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
I'll just do it one more time. You know, that kind of a thing. It's not a specific subdivision.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're using speed as a texture. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like a tension building device.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's just pure speed.
Yeah. Okay. Entonces lo que dice Tom aquí es lo del legato, pues en la parte del lado de Satriani, que es básicamente una herramienta de construcción de velocidad. Los pulsos no están sobre las notas, las primeras notas no están sobre los pulsos, sino que simplemente es una herramienta de velocidad, ¿ok?
The other thing is, it's very, very scalic. And it's intentionally scalic. It's always in a scale. There's no arpeggios in it. Okay. It's just very scalic. Now, this is a good thing because it works for the music, but it's not what I do.
Okay. Entonces hay otra cosa que tiene ese tipo de legato, que es muy escalar. No tiene muchos arpegios, entonces sería. Y no es lo que Tom hace. funciona muy bien para la música de Satriani, está muy bien en la forma en que lo utiliza, pero no es el que utiliza Tom.
So the other way of doing legato is to be very in time. So this is kind of the jazz fusion way of doing things.
Okay.
So it's like like 16th notes or triplets or whatever, but also using wider intervals, so lots of arpeggios as well. So my legato sounds like very different to it's a very different sound.
Okay. Entonces, el asunto con Tom, lo que mostró ahí fue la diferencia entre el legato de él y el legato de rock, básicamente. El del Tom se aproxima al legato de una manera más fusion, de más para el lado de fusión, pensando, entre comillas, diríamos que en semicorcheas, entonces suenan las notas un poquito más definidas y, entre comillas, sería un poquito más pulido, algo como así.
Okay, so the reason this fusion legato is really hard at first is because you have to really separate the number of notes per string from the subdivision that you're playing. Okay, let me demonstrate this. So if I play a G major scale, 3 notes per string, and do hammer-ons on the way up, so I'm going to pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer, sorry, pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer. Every time I pick the next string, the new string, it's louder because it's a picked note than the hammer-ons. Okay, so we get that's what most guitar players sound like when they play legato. So like, what subdivision does that sound like to you? To me it sounds like triplets.
Yeah, to me it sounds like triplets.
It sounds like groups of 3.
Yeah, groups of 3.
Which is a problem because I want to play 16th notes or groups of 4. We don't want...
Yeah.
We want this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That is really hard for most guitar players to do.
Yeah, that's
to say where the beats are.
Yeah.
Because when we play legato, we tend to perceive the first new note on the new string, or the first note on the new string, as the beginning rhythmically of each section. So that's wrong. That's not what you should be doing. You should be feeling 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, 1.
That's 4 notes groupings, right?
4 note groupings, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which is hard because we're playing 3 notes per string.
Okay, let me translate. Okay, entonces aquí viene una cosa que es muy importante, que es lo primero que Tom hizo ahí es lo de hizo sol, 3 notas por cuerda, pero hizo lo siguiente. Ahí acentuaríamos el primer pulso de la primera nota, entonces tendríamos un sonido muy en español atresillado. Sonaría muy tacata 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 tacata. A lo que va Tom es que no deberíamos estar haciendo el tacata 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 porque en realidad suena muy pesado, sino que deberíamos estar pensando más bien en grupos de 4 notas. Did I did it wrong? Did I did it right? Was it right? Probably not. Probably not.
It's all about how you feel it. So if you pick the notes, it's really easy because you can accent the first note of every group of 4. So if you pick, you can go.
Oh.
But you can't do that when you play legato. Because you can't go...
No, you can't.
That's not going to work, especially if you're...
Yeah.
You can't do it. It's impossible.
Okay.
So you have to feel it internally. Yeah. You have to feel 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And the way to really get good at this is to do it very slowly and to make sure that your string changes are not louder than your hammer-ons and pull-offs.
Okay.
So the way I do this is I don't know how I'm going to show you this, I use the middle finger on my right hand for each new string.
Yeah.
So it's like... Again, it's really hard to...
It's hard to show.
Okay, maybe you can see it here. So I'm using my middle finger to articulate each new string. And the middle finger is quieter than the pick.
Okay.
So you get this smooth. And then on the way back, I use very, very light pick strokes. Not. That sounds like someone falling down a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Go with the translation. Hay una última pregunta que dice Fabián que si se podría fusionar el legato con el picking. Es picking, este tipo de picking o finger picking. Por volverlo a poner ahí y te explicamos. Entonces, aquí viene un asunto. Número uno es que Tom lo que está usando ahí es hybrid picking cuando cambia de cuerda. ¿Para qué? Para generar un paso más suave entre las notas y que no suene el, sino que haya un tururú. Entonces lo que utiliza es el dedo de la mitad. Pues ustedes lo vieron ahí. Yo lo hago de la misma manera. Se utiliza el dedo de la mitad para lograr un poquito más de suavidad en el paso entre cuerda y cuerda, que no se sienta muy golpeado.
Yeah, so no matter what I'm playing, what I'm improvising, I'm always aware of that subdivision. So you'll always be able to hear dagga 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 da. And I've sat for crazy amounts of time, really, like
trying it.
You shouldn't
Studying it.
You shouldn't do this with your life. It's like there's probably better things to do. Sat going. And basically just improvising around scales, arpeggios, making sure that I'm always in time. So So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Always aware of where I am in the time.
Okay.
It's a great way to practice.
Okay. Entonces, Tom practicaba esto. Pues, o sea, de la manera más increíble del mundo. O sea, era mucho tiempo de inversión, pero en pensar en tener el timing en el tiempo correcto, de tener el timing donde es. Entonces él tomaba su ejercicio.
Wow.
Yeah, I've studied
Nice.
you a lot.
Nice. That's great.
Slowing down YouTube videos. Entonces lo que hace Tom es que lo estudiaba de esa manera, pero desde muy despacio, tomando en cuenta que siempre el tempo debe ser y siempre tomando eso. Y ustedes cuando escuchen a Tom tocar lo sienten de una vez, porque se siente que está todo el tiempo. O sea, eso es algo que yo he escuchado mucho cuando él toca, y es que siempre se siente el pulso ahí, siempre presente.
And the other thing I'm trying to do is to keep all of the notes the same volume.
Mm-hmm.
So like back in the day, when people used to play synths,
Mm-hmm.
the newer synthesizers, when you hit the key harder, like a piano, when you hit the key harder,
Mm-hmm.
they get louder.
Yeah.
But the original synths, when you played them, it didn't matter how hard you hit the key, they wouldn't get louder or quieter. They were always at one volume. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get that sound with my legato playing.
Yeah.
Not my guitar playing generally. I want
Mm-hmm.
dynamics in my playing. But for this sound, I want the same volume for all the notes.
everything,
So
yeah.
I'm trying to get my string changes to sound the same as my hammer-ons and pull-offs.
Okay.
So you can't tell where the string changes occur,
Okay.
hopefully.
Ya, ok. Aquí hay una cosa que es muy importante que yo también tengo como muy metida en la cabeza con lo de la guitarra y es que aquí hay que normalizar los volúmenes de todas las notas. Esto es una cosa que hace Tom, que I heard that from Alan Holsworth too.
Yep.
Lo de normalizar los volúmenes de los cambios en las cuerdas y los volúmenes de todas las notas. O sea, que no haya cambios de volumen entre nota y nota. Muchas veces para eso también se utilizan los dedos. Y él dice que los sintetizadores de los 80s que no tenían sensibilidad tenían más o menos esa sonoridad y a eso es a lo que él le apunta.
Okay, so I want to give everybody at least one exercise that they can work on for this.
Yeah.
So anybody who's watching, if they've played for a little bit of time, should be able to do this exercise. If you take the 4th, 5th and 7th frets on the D and G string, so 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, okay. What I want everyone to try if they've got a guitar at home and they're watching is I want you to try and play that phrase. So just pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer. And I want you to play a full bar of 16th notes and then beat one of the next bar. So you would play dagga, 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 da. 2, 3, 4. Dagga, 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 da. 2, 3, 4. This is really difficult for a lot of guitar players because what they want to do is they want to play, they learn this phrase by how many notes are on each string.
Triplets.
So they want to finish on the little finger. They want to go like this.
Yeah.
And the phrase always starts on the first finger, on the D string, and finishes on the little finger. But we want this. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, sorry, 2, 3, and again, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. This is a really, really useful exercise for developing the awareness of the rhythm that you're playing and not being locked into this always being 6 notes that you're playing, groups of 6. Hearing that group of 6 as groups of 4 or 16th notes. That makes sense. Dagga, 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 da.
Tiki, 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 tiki. All right. Ok. Entonces, lo que hizo Tom fue explicar un ejercicio. Yo sé que ya muchos lo cogieron, pero para los que no lo voy a volver a explicar. Sería básicamente coger estas 6 notas. Tocamos 4, 5 y 7 de la cuarta y 4, 5 y 7 de la tercera. Pero en vez de tocar a tresillado y los tresillos de siempre, lo que vamos a hacer es hacer agrupaciones de 4 notas y terminar en el primer pulso del compás siguiente. Algo como 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, taca, 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 di. Terminaríamos en el primer pulso del siguiente compás. That's hard. It's hard to think.
Yeah, it is. It is hard. And when you what you can sorry.
Yeah. Pero rítmicamente, o sea, rítmicamente no es tan difícil de pensar. Vos pensarías taca, 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 ta. 2, 3, va y taca, 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 tan, 2. No es tan difícil de pensar, pero cuando lo aplicas es que ya se vuelve complejo. Tiki, 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 tiki. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, it's surprisingly difficult.
Yeah.
When you've got that down, what you then do is you start from the second note in the phrase, or the second finger.
Okay.
So first you do this. 2, 3, 4. Then you start from the second note. 2, 3. Then the third note.
Okay.
And this will really stop you from feeling like stuck, always wanting to start on the first finger.
Okay.
Because it's 3 notes per string,
Okay.
you'll be free to start that phrase from anywhere, you know, any finger or any note within the phrase, and cycle it round.
Okay. Alright. Entonces después de hacerlo, de hacer las 4 notas, empezando con esta primera nota en el traste 4, lo que habría que hacer sería entonces empezar desde la segunda nota, luego desde la tercera, etcétera, etcétera. Y lo que va a hacer esto es que te va a sacar de estar haciendo, eso, y te va a dar un poquito más de awareness del taca, 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 taca. Te va a dar más awareness de ese tipo de sonido.
Okay, let me demonstrate it with a drum beat.
Okay.
So just a drum beat, so you guys can hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start it.
Okay, so here's my beat. Let me slow it right down and do the same thing really slow.
Okay.
So I'll just grab a different beat. Let me just slow this right down. That's like... Okay, so... Three, 4. 2. Then start from the second finger. 2, 3, 4. Then the little finger. So on and so forth. So I'm starting from the next note in the phrase each time.
Okay.
I'm trying to play the same rhythm.
Yeah.
And it's gonna allow you to get that rhythmic control, to start to feel the subdivision. But it is surprisingly difficult.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's absolutely difficult.
Okay.
Yeah. You give me
So-
meat to go to start at home.
Yeah, that's just cool. That's
Yeah.
good. Okay, let me do some of this over another backing track. So, what do you want me to do? Like a funk thing, or do you want me to do the 6/8
Do the
ballad
6/8.
rock thing?
Yeah. Do
the
the
6/8.
6/8. Yeah.
It's the same principle. It's just a different
Yeah.
time signature, obviously.
right, so we have a lot of comments on the video. There's people saying, I need to make another thing in my life. I'm gonna give up guitar. Just to see you playing. All right, Tom, I think we're wrapping up for today, and before wrapping up, I just want to tell everybody on the streaming right now that, muchachos, nosotros tenemos un giveaway de guitarra de Ibanez. Todas las personas que estuvieron en esta clase, les vamos a, entre todos ustedes, vamos a sortear una Ibanez Geo. Yo saco el sorteo ahorita más tarde con las condiciones, son casi las mismas condiciones como hemos puesto en todo. Siguen a Tom en las redes sociales, siguen a TMS, a Musical Cedar y a Ibanez, se etiquetan en una de las fotos, en una foto de que estuvieron en la clase, o puede ser un screenshot para nosotros verlo, lo colocan en el feed de Instagram y listo. Entonces, well, Tom, I really appreciate this time, man. I really appreciate it. It's been 2 hours of learning.
Man, it's my pleasure. I love doing stuff like this, and it's a shame we can't do it in person. But,
yeah.
This is easily, a second best. It's really cool. So thank you very much for inviting me.
But you know what?
It's really cool to play for people.
But you know what? 2022, we're gonna be doing this live, man, for reals. And you see this? I'm cleaning the guitar too. But it's not because I'm sweaty, but it's because it's not mine.
Yeah, right,
yeah. It's one from the store. All right, so again, thank you very much. We want to thank you, Ivan and Seal. We have a Tama person talking to us in a couple of minutes. And yeah, we appreciate this very much, and we'll keep in touch.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone who's watching, and have a great rest of the festival.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. All right.
Cool. Cheers. Thank you.
See you.
Cheers.
Bye.